Please forgive the lack of quality of this video over what I usually do. I wasn't expecting to make videos today, so we're in this setup, but that doesn't matter. I like to make comical things and comical videos and reactionary videos, but this situation currently that we're facing could mean basically the start of Sheffield Wednesday going into admin or worse. If it's not already gone down that path, it's at a point of real concern now. So this is an exclusive from the Star newspaper. They've done some digging on it. They've had their sources talk to them. And I'll just read you a bit of the article here. Quote, "It has been widely reported that the wages situation at Hillsborough is a problem at present, with numerous publications, including the Star, stating at least some players have not been paid for some time now. According to Star sources, it is alleged that a number of senior Wednesday players who are contracted to the club going into next season are considering handing in their 2-week written notice on the back of continued unpaid wages." Just that in itself is ridiculous, and it reeks of Bury. It reeks of what happened to Bolton. It reeks of going down that path with an owner that said this could never happen to this club. Now, I'm going to be really careful what I say, because obviously we do a podcast and we get spoken to by various sources, and I've not reached back out because I'm recording this video straight away, but I have heard the finances are very, very bad. And that would be a little bit of an understatement, given cash flow, COVID, all of those things. They've all sort of added up, and they have basically... They've meant that Wednesday are in a situation like we've not found ourselves in. And I'm actually doing this as a point of... This has gone past YouTube being entertainment and all of this. This is a point of genuine concern for Wednesday. I'm actually very worried about what comes next, because we all thought on relegation we can just start the rebuild, the reset. We released a lot of players when we released our retain list, and we kept some younger players on. We seem to be doing business that would suggest a complete sort of financial refresh and having another go. We've been linked with some quality players. We talked about them on the recent podcast, and the videos are going out through this week about recent players that we are genuinely linked with. There's talks, there's all sorts like that going on, but that's going on at the side of current players not being paid, and they could leave. Their 2-week notice in the laws, they could go, and they would just basically, it'd be sort of a mutual dissolve of their contract because they've not been paid. The contractual obligations are not being met on the club's end, and it's happened multiple times. And yes, we could get into a whole debate about players getting into a situation where, well, the high-paid players, the high-paid footballers, all of that. But at the end of the day, if you've not been paid 3 times, let's take the ethics out of it and all that, about how much they earn. If you were in your job and you'd not been paid like 3 times throughout the year, and it was happening again, and it was consistent, you'd consider handing in your notice again. You'd have probably walked long before this. It's the fact that those footballers are obviously in a more privileged position, that they haven't done that so far. The main worrying thing from it is it's the fans that suffer. The club's gonna suffer. If it's a numerous amount of first-team players that are gonna basically rip up the contract and they're gone, we've just lost any sellable assets that we still had at the club, and we might not even be in a position to compete next season. We might not even be in a position to start on level terms, because you've got to think, if it's this bad, there's got to be some sort of accounting issues and things like that in the past with FFP even, because if it's this bad that we can't pay our players, if Chansiri is really struggling to get that cash flow into the club, then how can we not be at risk with EFL charges again? And we could just go, we could be in the League 2 for the first time. It's not even about relegation, it's not even about league performance. We could cease to exist if he folds this club, if he can't support this club. We spoke about the accounts recently, and it basically said that the club was not sustainable, and it was up to the chairman to keep bankrolling it. And that's for a lot of clubs, especially in the Championship. A lot of clubs are in that situation. Look at Stoke's recent heavy losses and things like that. But we are at the point now where we've been relegated, so we've not even got the Championship TV money, and there's no way to keep that income it flowing as it was. And apologies if I'm stumbling over my words here a little bit, but it's not so much shock, it's more distaste and anger at this, but it's also a feeling of genuine worry. I'm really, really worried because what happens next? And I don't even think it's a point where you can even take any football rivalries into it. I've seen straight away off the back of that article, the other side of the city, Sheffield United saying that, like, look, we hate you as we do them, but this is a football club that's been around since the 19th century, one of the most oldest and historic football clubs. You don't do this to that club. And we were told when Milan was in charge that this was never going to happen to Sheffield Wednesday. He was going to make sure he got a proper owner in. And yes, Chansiri gambled on it all, but it's got to a point now where he needs to tell us what's going on. Because if our players just leave, I don't know what's going to happen. I genuinely don't. So Joe Cran, who wrote that story, has said on his Twitter that players have got about 15 days of an unpaid contract before their contracts, they've got plausible clause for termination, so that could be what happens there. And after 15 days of submitting this, they can walk for nothing. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised with the way this club go. And obviously, I look into this club so much and we talk about it so much and we're in the discussions about it. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, or even if that doesn't happen, that Darren Moore is getting to his wits' end, even though he's one of the recent ones through the door. It could be an absolute farcical circus at Sheffield Wednesday, the way these dominoes start falling. And you've seen it before at clubs. We saw Bolton go down, and we've seen like, Sunderland's collapse and things like that. This could be even worse, because I don't know how he's going to stabilise this without injecting serious cash flow and getting it sorted. We are still in a soft transfer embargo. Coventry got out of theirs because of their accounts issue, submitting the accounts. A lot of clubs hadn't. We're still one of the ones that have done that. So we're not even thinking in terms of, like, who can we bring in. I won't expect to see anybody for a while. This could be it. I know I might sound overly dramatic there, but if it's that bad that he's still not paid the players, when this was talked about before the last day of the season, and it's a few weeks on since that now, and it's still not been done. If them players have not been paid since then, that means we've had those cash flow issues for that long. They've refused furlough. I don't think they'd want to take taxpayers' money. I looked at that side of it a little bit more. The furlough was something like 7k a month or 2k a week or whatever it was, something like that. I don't think the players wanted to do that. That's potentially now not even to do with a moral thing. It's a case of, well, we can just hand in our notice and we're off. We start fresh somewhere else. And I can't think that there's many players in this club who are eager to be here given all of this. And yes, it's the current climate, the current world we live in with the pandemic. It's happening to a lot of clubs, but not to this extent. Why is it happening to this extent? Why has the chairman let it go to this extent? How far have we fallen in just a few years? And this could be it. It could be curtains for Sheffield Wednesday. I keep thinking, I say that, and I'm like, you're being dramatic. That wouldn't happen to a club like Sheffield Wednesday, but I look at this and it reeks all the signs of a club about to fall apart. And I don't know if many of you have felt admin, and if any neutrals on here have felt admin, but admin is one of those situations that can go either way for a club. Sometimes it can be the positive sort of, it's never a positive to go into admin, but you can really start the club fresh from the bottom, so to speak. But that can also go to a point where a club can go into full admin and not be able to recover from it, and it's gone. And I just hope that's not Sheffield Wednesday. I'm sort of still reeling off this. Apologies if this video seemed a little bit of a ramble. It's a little bit more of one of my raw videos. I don't really do these. I just sort of do the very edited, let's talk about it, let's make light of it. But I'm concerned, and I'll keep following this as I always do. I want to know what you guys are thinking. What's going to happen to Sheffield Wednesday? But for now, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, do all those things, and keep watching right here on Dexterity Box.